Hello, thank you for joining us for the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Today on the Hangouts, despite curfew, 27 killed in fresh Plateau attack. World Bank disagrees with Adeosun, says cost of Nigeria debt not sustainable. And later in the program, Lagos record 100% rise in domestic and sexual violence. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Wahid Bakari, and Olayinka Oyebile. Journalist Hangout starts now.
My name is Lai Umar Ganduji, the governor of Kano State. I do watch journalists hang out. I don't miss it. I ask you, please don't miss it. Thank you.
Glad to have you join us. In the last 2 years, some agrarian states in the Middle Belt of Nigeria have shared common woes. Their soil fertility has become the greatest invitation to danger. Gun-wielding herdsmen have stormed their villages in a reckless bid to feed their cows, and hundreds of farmers, including women and children, have been brutally murdered. The latest in the eye of the storm is Plateau State. Last Friday, some gunmen attacked a community and freely wreaked havoc. This forced the government to declare a dusk to dawn curfew. But this has not stopped a senseless attack on the people. Between then and now, the community has been attacked 3 times, and 27 persons have been reported killed. What is going on? Babajide, what is going on? I don't know. I know we've had challenges in Plateau State between the native Biron people and the Hausa Fulani people, and for a long time now, there's been lasting peace. But we keep getting this herdsmen attack, and somebody just told me before we started the program that the area of this particular attack is very close to Rukuba Barrack. That's a military barrack is close by. In spite of the curfew, what will make these herdsmen? How were they able to penetrate and to wreak havoc on killing 27 persons?
I think that this is a consistent pattern. The government imposes a curfew, and this lawless herdsmen seize on the opportunity of the curfew to kill people, because they usually come around to kill people at midnight when people are sleeping in their homes, and most of the time most of their victims are even women and children. Cowards, cowards, animals, killing innocent people. And the unfortunate thing is that sometimes the reason for which they go to kill people, the security forces will have moved in and made arrests over a previous maybe attack on the Fulani community or a killing of a Fulani individual. But it won't stop them from coming back to kill people. I remember one incident, and their tricks, I expect that by now security agencies will be familiar with their tricks and find a way to stop these bloodthirsty people. But at every opportunity they show new tricks. On a particular occasion, the Fulani herdsmen, in the height of their crisis with the Biron people in Plateau State, they flew a kite. They flew a kite that they were going to attack a community somewhere not far away from Barkinladi. So youths from neighboring communities went to the community that they claimed that they were going to attack. they sent word that they were going to attack. To secure the place, youths from neighboring villages now mobilized in large numbers to secure that community. Meanwhile, their intention was to go to somewhere else. So, by the time they left their wives, their children, and elderly parents to go and secure a community that they had was going to be attacked by these headsmen just came and slaughtered innocent people. Come and see women,
defenseless
children as young as 3 years had their heads smashed. So I just don't understand. For so long we had that, okay, that the military made efforts to even reconcile the Birom people and the Fulani, and for a long time we didn't hear about killings. But now these guys are back to killing one another. I know that in a village called Anka, one Fulani, the Fulani attacked the village over the beheading of a Fulani boy. But arrests had been made. We can't have a situation in which, as a governor boasted, that the Fulani, that if it takes 10 years, that the Fulani will avenge the killing of someone. I mean, it's senseless to even have that notion. If you believe in the security agencies that they will do their work, if someone commits a crime against the state, that individual will be arrested and punished. There is nobody has the license to go and be taking innocent lives. Yeah. Because most of the time, just as Delegiwa said in one of his writings, in most wars, those who die are those who do not deserve to die. Yeah. In this case, a lot of the people that they are killing are people who do not deserve to die. And I remember some time ago in Jos, in that same Jos, Plateau State, the head of the Joint Task Force drove these murderous headsmen, drove them far away. In fact, a lot of them had to climb mountains in the area. He drove them far away so that they would not be able to constitute any menace. And then we started reading on social media that, oh, this is unfair on these people, this is unfair, and that they should let them come down from the hills while that they've been driven up to. By the time they came down, they continued to kill people. So the president saying now that, oh, that the madness has to stop. I'm happy that that language was used. Both the president and Garuba Shehu that is writing the press statement know that this is enough madness for us as a people to condone. So what we want to see now is the response to this unbelievable sequence of madness. That's what we want to see.
Wahid, now the president is talking, because before now a lot of people that they will actually say that because the president is one of them, and that's why it's condoning them and everything. There's this very terrible notion that because the president's silence, that the president is kind of encouraging the activity. Now the man has spoken. And what do you expect in that area?
Well, what I expect is that let's see action now being taken. It is one thing for you to say something, it's another thing for that thing to be done. Yes. You know, there are two different things. Now, it is a total failure on the part of government that they allow this one to happen. You know, because one of the things that we expect the government to do, as stipulated in the Constitution, is that they should be able to provide security for lives and property of people. Now, those people did not go to that place out of their own volition. You know, there was war in their community. They were asked to gather there. You know, if you find it difficult to police the entire community, are you also saying that it is difficult to police that's just a school compound, to the extent that people came in and they killed innocent people, 29 of them, including women and children, defenseless people, over what? Are you saying that one is also part of reprisal? And if you look at the trend, that has already been the case. You know, in September there was killing about 2 or 3 times. In October, this should be the 3rd or the 4th killing in October. Now, when you impose a curfew somewhere, you impose a curfew simply because you have studied the situation. You look at when people want to strike, they are likely to strike within that period. But unfortunately, despite the fact that there was imposition of curfew, just like less than 48 hours, they still went ahead, you know, to do that kind of massive killing. So I think it is high time we stop this madness. This is complete madness. You know, people can no longer, they can no longer eat food. You know, they find it difficult to live a decent life. And the only thing they have is that, you know, when there is this saying that when there is life, there is hope. For those people, they are now hopeless. You know, are we not going to allow them to die in vain? Are we going to continue to see this kind of massive killing here and there all the time? You know, and nothing is being done about it. It's a shame.
You lived in Jos, and this situation, how would you describe it, and what do you think is responsible for the animosity between the native settlers and the Hausa Fulani people?
See, a new dimension has been brought into this. Initially, what usually happens is that it is between the Birom and the Fulani herdsmen. Now it has been extended to Miango people. This is perhaps what many people...
Who are the Miangos people?
These are the people who live in Basa area. Those are the natives of those areas. If you look at it critically, from all these years that there have been trouble, it has never happened on the land of the Miango people. Because maybe because of the way they are not as aggressive or outgoing as the Birom people between them and the Hausas. But now the battle has been taken up to their home state. And it is a very dangerous thing. In the situation where the thing happened, that village is a shouting distance from the Rukuba Army barracks. And according to a report, you will hear that the president of Iregwe Development Association, one Sunday Abdul, said that they saw the herdsmen coming, and the military men who are there to protect them took a retreat as they left them that, okay, go ahead and do whatever you want to do.
Why?
That is the question he was asking.
True?
That was the question he was asking. The clip is on, I saw it on TV yesterday, is in the newspapers today. Sunday Abdul, the president of Iregwe Development Association, that these people, the military men, they saw these people coming and they took a retreat. Why?
To allow them to operate.
I mean, is it that they are more armed than the military people, or what? That is the question the security agencies must please find an answer to. Because these Miango people in their own area, as I said, the military barrack, you can say, hey, here, and they will hear you from the military barrack. So how did they take, and under a curfew, for that matter, how did it happen? Why? If there was no curfew, you might say that, okay, people are allowed to move around freely. But how will a group of people move when there is curfew? They will go into a school that you have used as a displaced people's camp and started killing people, 29, and yet until they finished killing these people and they left, there was no resistance, nothing. It is very shameful. It's very, very shameful. The fact that it's even not far from the military barrack is still something I'm trying to... So, assuming it is far away from a military barrack, then what will have happened?
Jide, you were talking about the possibility of the military, you know, retreating, that it's possible. And I'm now saying that what will be the meaning of that?
Oh, it depends on how professional and how responsible they are. Don't forget that soldiers are Nigerians as well. And when you send a band of unprofessional soldiers to a particular location, some of them will first think of their ethnic identities, you know, before anything. This is quite common in the north. This is not the first time we are hearing this kind of thing. That soldiers not doing what they are supposed to do. It's a different thing if you send them soldiers to go and be dancing Python dance in the east. It's a different thing. But when it comes to the north, you said the soldier should turn his gun on his own people. he would think twice. Because for some of them, you know, for some of them, even people from their ethnic nationalities will be there. People from their own even communities would even be there. So it's quite tough. Because generally we still do not see ourselves as Nigerians. We see ourselves first as Yoruba, as Hausa Fulani, or as Igbos. You see simple matters that we should be objective about. Yeah. Just look at the way we talk about those things on Facebook and all that. It shows that we are far away from being a united people. I don't know what we want to gain from this kind of attitude. Very few Nigerians are actually detribalized.
Very few.
Very few.
Very few.
Very few.
Very,
and our
very
politicians have to blame for this.
Very few.
Because it's those divisions that they try to exploit to keep themselves in power. A band of irresponsible politicians. They are the people encouraging division amongst the Nigerian people. So if the soldiers are products of our land,
honestly,
you know, yes. So you know that they too will have their own prejudices. So it can happen. And in the past, when it happened, commanders of such teams were identified and punished. Even this Boko Haram thing, you remember that in the beginning, there were some soldiers who were clearly compromised. There were some soldiers who thought that Boko Haram was fighting the cause of their people. Yeah. Who saw Boko Haram more or less like freedom fighter. I told you the story of a friend of mine who works with a major radio station in Kano, who looked at me and said, wow, this thing is a case of dog turning against his owner. He said so. One of the big journalists in Kano, because that was how Boko Haram was perceived immediately. And then you will find that even when Jonathan wanted to send troops at one time, they were saying, no, don't do it. Don't do it.
Even APC criticized.
Yes, they don't do it. No, don't do it.
A press release.
Our own people, Nigerians, opposed the idea of christening Boko Haram as a terror group from the beginning, because the matter came up of the floor of the U.S. Congress. Nigeria, the Nigerian government,
APC at a party
moved. If you are saying APC as a party, the Nigerian government led by Goodluck Jonathan, which sent people to stop the idea of branding Boko Haram
as a terrorist
group. Organization, the Khan president at that time was the one who led the lobby. Yeah. People like Ladi Williams, they led the lobby. They wanted Boko Haram branded for what it was. But our own government said no, they don't brand them this. And they sent people. So that was how we saw Boko Haram in the beginning, until Boko Haram became a terror. You know,
so everybody.
Initially, it was killing Christians alone. Later on, by the time they killed that war hero in Maiduguri, General Shua. By the time they killed General Shua, people now saw that, look, these guys, they are not playing with us. So, you know, what the Yorubas will say. So after that, they started killing people in mosque because they wanted Muslims and Christians to turn against one another. Yeah. When the Christians restrained themselves, you kill Christians in the church, like the killings in Adamawa at that time. They thought the Igbos would retaliate. They didn't retaliate. When their agenda for Nigeria failed, then they started killing innocent Muslims. So we have to be careful in handling issues like this. And soldiers and policemen have to be professional. When you have a job to do, you must do it well. I want to see the explanation for the barracks not being far away from where they kill people. I want to hear the explanation.
What will the commander say?
What will he say?
What exactly happened?
What is your duty if you can watch people being killed?
Is he waiting for order from the military defense headquarters or what?
I think there is this aspect of the report that says, you know, the killers were actually led into the school premises by some uniformed men. I don't know.
We may not know whether the uniformed men may not be Nigerian.
Let me quickly take Joshua is calling us from Plateau State. Thank you for joining us, Joshua. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, Joshua.
How are you?
Very well.
Tell us what happened, Joshua.
Yeah. Well, we're in the middle of it all, so I called to actually place a very, very vital and detailed input on exactly what transpired. Now, those 29 people that were killed were actually led into the classroom by a soldier.
By somebody in a military uniform.
When people begin to give analysis that it is herdsmen, it is quite very obvious that there are herdsmen in uniform. Or we are just trying to look for another way of camouflaging what they are doing with their uniforms. These men were not killed, or these people were not killed by herdsmen. They were killed by soldiers. That is very clear. And soldiers should be made to take responsibility for this action. As I speak with you, the whole lot of Miango area now is a ghost of itself. And these are generally very peace-loving and accommodating people. The barracks, like you all know, is just 1 kilometer distance from the local government. So I can't see, and it can't be placed in the imagination of people, how such murderous activities could go on behind and even in the midst of soldiers around.
Thank you, Joshua.
Our look.
Ayo, I think that
The information...
we do not know whether they are soldiers.
Yes, no, I wanted to even say that the information you gave earlier,
Uh-huh.
that this decoy,
Yeah.
they might be wear camouflage for
Yeah.
people
Yes,
to think
and
that
not
they're
to think that they are
soldiers.
soldiers. No.
Exactly.
To give room to this kind of narrative.
The Nigerian customs has repeatedly impounded military camouflage.
Yes.
You know, illegally imported into our country.
Yes.
Political talks wear army uniform. Army uniform is, you can buy army uniform
for
like
one
buying
kobo
candy
now.
now.
in the market.
So you can get it.
So,
So we don't really know who, whether they are soldiers or these things.
if they are soldiers.
We can
Nigeria-
blame soldiers that
For
they
looking
didn't
the other way.
provide, or that
Yes.
they didn't even provide security for
Yeah.
those people.
Especially
Because I
where
would
they
expect that place would even be secure.
Yeah.
You know, send a detachment of soldiers to that place, secure the place. We can blame them because that didn't happen. We can blame them because this happened not far away from
their
the
barracks.
barracks.
Yes.
But it is
For us
difficult
not
for us now
very
to
difficult.
say they were led by
They were
soldiers.
led by
No,
soldiers.
no,
And I
no.
think there is this aspect that the soldiers that were expected to man the area, they have been asked to come over to the headquarters for questioning. We just hope that something tangible will come out of it. You know, this is not
Also
a matter that can be swept under the carpet.
Yes.
All right, coming up on Journalist Hangouts, World Bank disagrees with Nigeria's finance minister, says Nigeria debt not sustainable. Details shortly.
My name is Abdullahi Umar Ganduji, the governor of Kano State. I do watch journalists hang out. I don't miss it. I ask you, please don't miss it. Thank you.
Welcome back. This is Journalist Hangouts, your groundbreaking program of the year. Nigeria's debt profile is rising at a scary speed. So scary is the speed that it will leave Michael Schumacher panting for breath. Last week, President Muhammadu Buhari wrote to the Senate asking for an approval to borrow $5.5 billion. Just stick that up there. $5.5 billion. That is 1.9 trillion naira. 1.9 trillion naira to finance the 2017 budgets. On Monday, the finance minister, Kemi Adeosun, said Nigeria must borrow more to deliver critical infrastructure. As the government remains upbeat, the World Bank calls for caution. It says Nigeria can no longer sustain the cost of borrowing or paying interest on its debts. It says though Nigeria has a decent debt to GDP ratio, but the debt to revenue ratio is of great concern. Does this administration have any option? Babajide, I'm worried. The signs that I'm seeing, you know, it's not looking at, you know, we are doing well economically. Yes, we've been talking about getting off, what do they call it, recession by 0.05%, whatever that means. But the stark reality, government is borrowing to pay salaries. Government is borrowing to provide infrastructure. Government is borrowing to do virtually everything.
You see, Ayo, when you cast your mind back to 11 years ago, when Obasanjo decided to pay off our debt, he paid the sum of $12.4 billion to
Paris
our
Club.
creditors, London and Paris clubs, so that another 18 billion could be written off out of our debt stock at that time of $30 billion. At the end of the day, by 2006, we were left with just $3 billion, you know,
Foreign debt.
foreign debt, minus the
Domestic
debt
ones.
and all that. Today, our debt stock has risen to 15 billion. The problem is not just piling up debt, but if we are good historians, we will remember that this was how we began. After the oil boom, the civilian administration of Shehu Shagari began to take loans and other. Oh, we need to take loans to build roads, deliver infrastructure and all that. It's not so difficult to tell people that you need loans for this and that. What is difficult for Adeosun and other loan mongers, if I can call them, address them as such, is showing to Nigerians proof that this excessive debt stock has had any form of impact on the masses. That is, the devil is in showing us how it has had an impact. For example, we've taken hefty loans to freshen up the power infrastructure. How has that impacted on the masses? We are even hearing now that they want to increase tariff by about 60% again. How has this excessive hunger, excessive and undiminished appetite for loans impacted on you and I? It's difficult to see it. And you cannot, when they talk about debt to GDP ratio, as far as it concerns Nigeria, it's a myth.
Yeah.
If you look at debt to GDP ratio of Japan, for example, you know that they can conveniently service their loans. In our own case, when you look at debt to GDP ratio, just look at debt to revenue ratio. Because looking at debt to revenue ratio, you will see that we are in trouble. We cannot pay. It's as simple as that.
Our revenue is not in any way
commensurate with. Consistently, we can't service our annual budget without borrowing. That should tell you that we are in trouble.
Even this,
we can't service we cannot implement our budget.
Yes, that's what I'm scared.
We can't implement our budget without taking loan. You know when
this loan is meant for 2017 budget.
You know when I almost gave up. You know when I almost gave up. When, as acting president, Yemi Osinbajo wrote to the Senate that they should let him borrow $1.2 billion. Just $1.2 billion. We have to write to the Senate again that we want to take. I would rather, that should tell you that it is that bad. $1.2 billion. And what the World Bank, for the first time I'm saying World Bank because I always see them as bad advisors.
Yeah.
For the first time I'm seeing them advising us the right way. What they were not doing to us in the 80s.
Yeah.
So World Bank is telling you, tax the rich. Tax the rich more. You don't need to be told to tax the rich more. Our rich people in Nigeria, they never ever pay tax commensurate with what they have.
At all.
Just go and check it. The $10 of this world, the Dangotes of this world. What is the quantum of tax that they pay? Instead, we will be creating waivers upon waivers upon waivers for them so that they can further make money off our country. That is not the way it is done elsewhere. So we should tell ourselves the truth. When they say Nigeria is not broke, then it questions even your education when you just agreed that Nigeria is not broke. Even the size of our budget. There are some small African countries, the size of their budget is bigger than ours. So what are we talking about? We should concentrate on from tax, we can actually get more revenue.
Yeah.
As it is now, and what worries the World Bank is that the percentage of our tax revenue even now that goes into debt servicing is is extremely high. So the earlier our government listens to these people, the better. You can't just be taking loans anyhow.
There's this school of thought, Waheed, that when you throw money at the infrastructure, you rebound the economy. As in, there's a way when you start spending, building bridges, building roads, doing a lot of things, and these popular economics will tell you that the economy will start bubbling.
It depends. You know, like Jide said, there's nothing wrong in borrowing. Nations all over the world do it. But before you can borrow, there are questions to be asked. You need to find out what is the past borrowing habits of that country. If it is bad, then you can't borrow. It's because we have been bad in the past. That's why people are saying, no, you can't borrow again. Because what is the need for it? When you borrow money and you are using it to pay salary, or you are using it to embark on
recurrent expenditure,
projects that are meaningless.
Meaningless project. You know, you are using it to a project that will not have any direct bearing on the lives of the people. In the past, we have borrowed. What did we use the money that we borrow? What did we use them to do? You know, people will now see it as a means of enriching themselves. Money has come. You know, whatever they tell us they want to use it for, they will divert it to something else. We have so many cases of diversion in this country.
But we can trust.
You know,
can we trust this government?
We cannot really trust. We cannot really trust.
It is Buhari there now.
We cannot really trust because if
only
you are saying Buhari, can you say the same thing?
Do we want to kill him?
Can you say the same thing of the people around him, of his lieutenants?
Is he going to do everything himself?
Can we really trust them? It's because we don't have trust in them. That's why we are afraid that the more you borrow, the more you enslave us. Because there is no economic sense in this that if you are making 100 naira in a month, and you are using 50 or 60 naira out of it to pay debts.
Yes, no.
So what are you? Where are you going to get money to do the necessary things?
The World Bank says 2/3 of our tax revenue is used to service debt.
To service debt.
Of our tax revenue.
Like he said, you know.
What FIRS is collecting.
Use it to service debt. Is it healthy?
You can tax the millionaires, the billionaires that we have in this country, and I think that they are also trying to do that. I don't know why they are dragging on it, because there was a time Adeosun came out to say that if you are buying yacht, if you want to drink champagne, you should be ready to pay more.
Honestly,
you know,
honestly,
in some countries, you can even say, okay, people should pay more tax. They do it in the US.
Yes.
But people have that faith. They have that absolute faith in the government
that
the more we pay, the better for us.
Yes.
They can see
government will provide other things.
Infrastructure are not, they are not abstract.
Even health, education,
they are not abstract.
They are not.
They can see what they are going to do with the money.
And you feel the impact of your money.
Okay, since they said that's the only means with which they can raise money, let's give it to them, because we know that at the end of the day, we are going to have that thing they want to do will have impact on us. Not all these white elephant projects. People don't need bridges. You are building bridges for them. You don't need airports. You know, you have there is maybe about 30 minutes away. You know, from you there is one airport. But because of ego, you now say you want to build your own airport.
No, the reason they are building those airports is so that they go to Abuja more like people going to the restroom.
Okay,
so they want to just land in Abuja and then land in front of their offices. That's what they want. They don't want to travel by road anymore.
No, because
they don't want to travel by road anymore. They know the state of the road.
They know what they are doing. You know, the thing is that, one, why, if the World Bank that used to encourage people, countries to come and borrow, and the same World Bank is advising you that don't borrow.
That you borrowed enough.
That you have borrowed enough.
Don't kill yourself.
Is that not enough for you to think twice that, look, what else can we do? Nigeria, we always think that bring more money is what will solve the problem.
Yes.
It is not. It is not
That's
to have more money.
Akpabio's law.
Exactly. It is not bring more money that will solve the problem. In fact, sometimes more money creates more problems than it can solve. So what the nation needs to do is what are we doing that is not right? Where are we spending money that we don't need to spend money on? You have a situation where the other day I was in traffic a particular governor was passing, and I counted about 20 vehicles in the governor's entourage.
That's moderate.
20.
Where are they going?
Where are they going? And it is on the same bad road that the man refused to walk on, that all these 20 vehicles were passing. And they had to consign the rest of us to one side to allow him to pass. What is that? But if all this money are spent wisely and in a very judicious way, we may not have any problem. But the thing is that immediately this loan is granted, they will buy more SUVs, they will buy more houses in Dubai and the rest of them, and begin to spend this money not for what they borrowed the money for, but on their own selfish.
I thought this is the government of change. That's things like that.
No, but
See,
you see, when
it
you are
is not only
when you are
one
talking
man.
of the,
It is we are talking of only one man. Can we trust the
The people around
lieutenant
them.
as much as we trust him? Is it not in the same government you had that we spend millions to clear grass? Is it not in the same government that we had that the telephone company bribed one of the officials? Is it not in the same? There are so many things like that. You may be able to single out one man, but it can't be in every
can't
place.
be everywhere.
always.
It's not a foreman.
Well, but Babajide, for the first time today, I was happy with the People's Democratic Party. You know, when I saw earlier today, when I saw that press release, a well-articulated release by Prince Dayo Adeyeye.
Yes.
And, you know, I remember the days of Alhaji Lai Mohammed as the APC publicity secretary, where you take government to task through this press release, and I looked at it and I saw courage and I saw wisdom in what's
The way they wrote it.
did you go through that press
No,
release?
yes, I've seen it. It looked very much like Lai Mohammed in Adeyeye's skin, because Lai Mohammed was an editor's delight at that time.
Perfect.
Because it would
It is
not
copy
only,
and paste too.
it would not, many of those editors,
I'm telling you,
many
there's nothing to
of
correct
those
there.
lazy editors will just remove the intro,
Honestly.
you know, and the conclusion.
Honestly.
So that Lai Mohammed's name at the base of the thing will not appear in the newspaper. And they'll just run it like that. Because
Quotation or true?
he will write it like an old school teacher,
Yeah.
you know,
Break it down.
without
Plain language.
errors, simple language, you know,
it
communication language,
Yeah.
just put it, and he knew how to hit these people hard,
Very well.
without even resorting to insult, you know. So
Constructive
he did
criticism.
that. He did that so well, you know. And like someone like him, who is also a repository of knowledge, he brought that to bear in the running of the APC publicity office, you know. So he did it so well, and every time people talk about that, you see these rudderless PDP people. They can't even find someone who can do the job the way Lai Mohammed did it. So I think that in a long time, what they wrote in terms of the content is the first time that we are seeing them playing the role of a real opposition party. Because look, opposition is not simply name calling, abusing people, you know, and calling Buhari all kinds of names, you know. Opposition is to show the alternative.
Study
This is
it.
what you could have done.
Yeah.
This is what, you know, that is how to play it. And that way, when someone is reading through,
And this
you
is
will
the
see that, oh,
the implication of what you're about to do.
Yeah.
because at that time, they forced Jonathan to take some actions that he initially did not plan to take. Because at the end of the day, the country belongs to all of us. So when we talk about that which is right, and that action is taken, even you, as the opposition element, you will be happy.
Yeah.
Like someone sent a message to me that, look, you advised Buhari to reconcile Baru, Mekanti Baru, and Kachiku. That's what the president has done.
Our shop owner.
Yeah, he said that's what the president has done, and that's what we told him to do. We didn't deceive ourselves or say this is not a contract, that one is not a contract, in clear antithesis of the real meaning of contract. We didn't do that. We just reconcile these people, tell them that Nigeria comes first. The president has done that. So in this case now, the PDP, they believe that, look, excessive borrowing is like postponing the evil day.
Very well.
That evil day will come. Because, look, whatever we do now,
Selling our future.
the UN has already said that by 2025, the population of Nigeria will hit 300 million.
Honestly,
we will surpass.
That's another problem.
We will surpass the Americans. We will surpass the US. And when we do that, 60% of that population will be young people. What kind of future do we want to give these young people? You know?
Already,
What kind of future do we want to give
the
them?
situation on ground is...
Is it a future of a paralyzing debt overhang? Is that what we want to give people? We have to think twice and ask ourselves. We are not saying don't take loans. But at some point, you must realize that excessive loans impact negatively on even the running of government. People abuse the man who wears the hat in Bayelsa State.
Dixon.
Yes, the Boli governor of Bayelsa State. They abuse him. Oh, he cannot pay salaries. But the question they fail to ask is, what is the size of the debt stock that Silva left behind for him? I know some governors here today, we may not mention their names, their successors are in trouble. Yes.
Before they go, before they
Their successors, that is the truth. That is what excessive borrowing can do. Go and ask Dixon.
I have some names in my mind.
Go and ask Dixon how much Dixon is spending to service debt every month. Irrevocable standing order. You cannot avoid it. Go and ask instead of abusing him.
Because, you know, some states now, by the time they collect their federal allocation, bam, deduction from the source.
Of course.
because of you have to service your debt now. There are no two ways about it. You are in it. You are in it. You know. Let us also remember that once you are giving loans, you know, once you are giving loans, there are terms and conditions which you must strictly adhere to. You know, that's why we said. That's why we talk about past borrowing habit of a nation. You know, in the past, if you borrowed, have you been able to pay?
Quickly.
While you pay as at the time you are expected to pay. These are the things that we need to put into consideration.
The president won't help them
before you can say,
to do rescheduling of debt. But he still hasn't solved the problem.
You know, there are so many of them like wallow in debt.
Wahid, Yinka, your final take on this? We have to move on.
Well, the truth is that he who goes borrowing goes a sorrowing, as the Bible says. So I agree with, for the first time, I'm agreeing with the World Bank that Nigeria has borrowed enough. It should not borrow.
We should
again.
look inside.
Let's look inward. We have so many billionaires that can give us some money.
All right, moving on now. Lagos is one of the few states that are leading the campaign for the protection of gender rights in Nigeria. The state government has made laws, set up institutions and advocacy programs to endure that a resident live without gender-related violence. On Tuesday, the state's domestic and sexual violence response team claimed that it has attended to 950 domestic and sexual violence cases in the last 9 months. It says the figures showed a 100% increase compared to the last year's statistics. But let's break it down a bit. Does this statistics mean that more people are indulging in sexual and domestic violence, or more Lagosians are finding the courage to speak out? What's happening here? Yinka, let me start from you.
It's both ways. One, perhaps more people are speaking out. Perhaps it is because the domestic violence is on the rise. And what is the cause? The cause definitely has to do with the economy itself.
Poverty.
You have a situation now that women have not done any research, and so it's not statistically backed. But you find out that more women are in employment than men. Employment does not mean going to office. Look, a woman who has a child to feed will decide today that she can make kunu or sell granite and all that,
just
and
to
go around to sell. But the man who doesn't have a job, he will think twice. How can a man like me go and go around selling, hawking something who has not done it before, or either do that or go to a fellow man to say, okay, let me be your washerman. You get what I'm saying? So there are more women who are taking the role of breadwinners now. And in that situation, a woman has gone out since morning to go and work, come back again to cook. The man is there at home. He contributes maybe virtually nothing or little to the resources of running the home, and he wants to boss the woman again. I mean, it is a human element. The woman will want to resist, and there violence will occur. So there are things like that, and also the report is coming out now because everybody is taking the shame out of it. That my husband is beating me is no longer anything news. So if a man assaults his wife, since there is the office of the
public defender,
the woman can go there and report. Because now it is said that it is better to stay alive than continue with the marriage and become dead. So much of that is happening, and there are also things that people are exposed to now. While we were young, there are so many things we never knew. But now, just 2,000 naira can buy you a phone. And there are so many things people are reading online. If you check a young lady's phone or a young man's phone, some of the things you see there, will be astonished.
Why? What do you think is responsible for this rise, this surge in domestic violence?
I think like
sexual,
like he said, both ways. You know, I totally agree with him. You know, there is much awareness now. If you listen to radio most of the time, you have a lot of jingles encouraging people to come forward. That is not a thing of shame. Come forward and report if you have suffered abuse, you know, domestic abuse or whatever. You know, come out and say it. Let people know. They will give you phone number you can call. They will give you places you can visit. You know, they will tell you that you can even get lawyer for free. So a lot of people are taking advantage of that. And also, I think there is a way the social media has also contributed to that aspect. There was a time that this statement was going around. It went viral on the internet, you know, whereby they say, don't allow your daughter to call anybody uncle. That is not related to you. Don't allow your daughter to sit on anybody's lap. You know, if your daughter is not feeling comfortable going to a particular place, don't force her to do it. You know, a lot of people are now aware that there are inherent danger in keeping quiet, and because of that, people are coming out to say, no, I've suffered abuse. I want to make a report. I know of a case, you know, of a woman that has, you know, received merciless beating times with that number, you know, from the so-called husband. But of recent, when it happened, I don't know where she got the courage from. Maybe she was also talking to people here and there, or she had the opportunity of listening to some of these jingles on the radio. She went to the police station, and the man was arrested. You know, in a way, in the past he was not doing that. Why is he doing it now? Because he's not aware that she can do it. She knows places she can go to. She was talking to people. People are advising, do it this way, go to this place. It will not cost you any kobo. You know, you don't have to pay for anything. If you go to office of the public defender, they will even arrange a lawyer for you if you want to go all the way out. You know, because of that awareness, people are not aware, and they are taking advantage of that. I think that is why we are having it. Like he also said, you know, the economic situation in the country is making a lot of people to do what we call transfer aggression. Any little thing, they want to transfer the aggression. Frustration. You know, frustration. People are so frustrated, they cannot put food on the table for the family. Maybe the wife is the breadwinner. You know, before you know it, the wife will complaining. Don't kill me. Maybe the children are giving her problem. Don't kill me. I'm the one doing this, doing that for you, for everybody in the house. Because of that, they have a way of doing that kind of situation. And before you know it, the man will have the feeling that, oh, that is a direct message, you know, at me. He cannot descend on the woman, you know.
Okay, Babajide, for me, Lagos State is, you know, is like a trailblazer in everything. So now, since the days of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, they've set up this OPD, and there's a Ministry of Women Affairs, and they have a lot of things now. You have text messages, you have numbers, you can call, short code that you can send this thing. Now, what do you think because Lagos State is just a micro Nigeria because of the size, population, and everything. Population particularly. So, in your own estimation, what do you think? Why do you think there's a surge in domestic and sexual violence rates?
You see, we've concentrated so much on domestic violence, but if you look at the statistics, sexual violence is a lot higher. In fact, sexual violence against young people, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, is a lot higher than domestic violence. And it's difficult to say, beyond the fact that the laws, the application of our laws is the problem. Because if you punish people repeatedly for rape, I don't think rape will assume epidemic proportions like we have seen it assume now. In Kano, Kano is fast becoming the rape capital of Nigeria. They paraded about 53 men the other day in Kano, you know, for rape. And all kinds of cases. When I was doing my research, I saw clearly in Kano, people raping their granddaughters as young as 4-year-old.
There's this spiritual...
It got so bad that women organized a rally in Kano against rape this year. So, and it's not in Kano alone. Rape has assumed epidemic proportions in Nigeria. They used to say Congo is the capital, the African capital of rape. I don't think you can justifiably say that now, given the number of rape cases that we get, especially rape of underage people. It's a big problem in Nigeria. We have to come up with a law that effectively addresses this problem. There's hardly any day that as a journalist that I don't see a story of rape. And the kind of people raping little kids are people that you don't expect, in some cases, even pastors. Yeah. Pastors, the Muslim clerics, raping little kids.
70-year-old man.
You know? The one that I saw, a 74-year-old man, and even a policeman in Kano, Ashiru Suleiman, he raped the little girl inside a Sharia court in Rijialemu. So if you want to rape, you chose Sharia court. Of 4 places. It's inside Sharia court that you should go and rape. You can. That is a clear assault, a clear affront on our laws. That somebody can choose a place where people who infringe on the law get punished. You can choose that kind of place to go and rape someone. You rape a little girl. So we must come up with the laws, and the police have to be trained in terms of even extract information from victims, because sometimes the kind of questions that they ask these people make it difficult for victims to come out and own up. And of course, even proving rape is extremely difficult. Very difficult. You see, because the person can easily lie. So proving rape is extremely difficult. If, for example, they said, okay, go and bring, we even have DNA facilities where you can actually determine whether that semen on the skirt belongs to the person that you have.
There's a forceful entry.
That was the fear that gripped the former president of the U.S.
Monica Lewinsky.
The president himself, Bill Clinton. Because when they wanted to deny that there was nothing like that. But Monica Lewinsky had kept the skirt.
Yes. And
where the semen dropped.
Over and over again, they still got it.
You know, so the realization that woman will present that skirt for examination, DNA examination, was what made the great Bill Clinton to own up that I committed an inappropriate act.
We have to go. Yinka Oyebile, I want to thank you. Wahid Bakari, thank you so much. And Babajide Kolade Otoju, thank you. And that's it on Journalist Hangout today. You can join us tomorrow for another interesting episode. But you watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 on DSTV 418, GoTV 45, and all our major platforms that you can see on the screen. You can just get it through any of these platforms to watch the repeat broadcast. And you can also watch it on YouTube. That's youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalists Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I am Ayodele Uzuba. Bye for now. God bless Nigeria.